Hello, friends. I hope everybody is doing well. Chelsea Colley here. I empower women and moms to dream big, create a roadmap, and achieve their dreams now so they can have more fulfillment in their lives. So, I am excited to share this message. This is pretty big news, but no one caught it. And a lot of people are revealing some really big things right now, but a lot of times they just go unnoticed because people don't even notice. Because we can't just come out and say everything. Some things have to be kind of set in code. So, this video is called Who is E? And you're going to find out at the end of this video, or at the end of the video clips that I show you, that E is actually Elon Musk. So this is a story coming from Jesse Zaboter. And if anybody hears this, if you could tell me if the sound is working. The last time it was not working, and I recorded a whole video. I didn't realize there was this button right here. And if you press mute, then your audio doesn't work. So forgive me, I'm just figuring all this out. So who is Jesse Zaboter? Jesse Zaboter, she'll have to tell you her whole story of who she is, but she's done hundreds of hours of interviews on a bunch of different shows. This one that I'm going to show is from Aquarius Rising Africa, but she also is a co-host with Jeff on Right On Radio. She's on the Reveal Report. She's on with Carmen Studer. She's on with David Zublik. I'm even missing one. She's like everywhere. Jesse Zaboter, and it's Czebotar. So, Jesse was born into a bloodline family, one of the 13 bloodline families, and so she grew up in the system, and they were training her for a very, let's just say, a very important role in the system. So she trained from the age of 4 to 10, and she has full recall. She remembers all of that, everything she went through. She has full recall, and she was not drugged like a lot of other people and kids, because she was going to be trained for the Queen Mother of Darkness, and she had to have full recall. So she remembers everything, and her story has never changed. She's talked about her story for years. Really just went public about a year and a half ago. But she is a force. When it comes to fighting darkness, she used to fight for them. She learned all their dirty tricks. She's teaching us how to do battle and spiritual warfare against the evil. And there were people that did cards on her, and it said she got the same cards with like 4 different people, and they were all high level, but that she would take the system down. So God bless her, God be with her, and keep her safe, because she's a huge target. And in fact, her son was actually targeted and I believe killed. I believe he was 17 years old. So very sorry about that. Very sad, but it looks like they couldn't touch her, so they attacked her son. And that happened just a couple months ago. Now, that would make you want to step back and hide, wouldn't it? Because you have other kids. She's coming full force. She is so brave. She is actually a witness. and a whole bunch of military tribunals that she's been participating with. And she's pretty open with it. She doesn't just come out and say it, but if you just read between the lines, she'll tell you that she's trained guys before they've went underground to fight underground, and the dumbs and things like that, train them and help them to understand what they're going to come in contact with, how to deal with that, how to fight the evil. So she's played a big role, I think. She hasn't come out and said it, but she's always says there's things I can say, there's things I cannot say. And if they ask her a question that she can't answer, it's because she's in a legal issue with it right now. So she's one of the probably the best witnesses they had because they were training her to run the entire system. And she explains exactly how the system works. It works just like a corporation, just like a company. And it has 5 different arms, and she's very clear on what's what, and how everything works. That's why if all of this whole arm falls, which is like the Catholic arm, they still have all the other arms. They've got their little tentacles and everything. So she is very clear on how everything works, but she's grown up around the system. So she was trained every day as a child in black magic and participated in satanic rituals. She was forced to participate. She saw many children die at the hand of her proctor. She even mentioned the number 1,000 a month just at the hand of her proctor, not including rituals. So over a course of 6 years, that's a lot of kids, and it's really, really sad. But somehow she connected with God when she was like 3 years old, and he was there with her through this whole thing. And she's very clear that people that are in the system do not want to be there. They are stuck there, and they wish they could leave, but they don't feel like they can because they'll kill them or they'll kill their family. So the people are just stuck there. They don't want to be there. So she's a huge part of this whole dark to light, battling evil, and she's kind of like a trump card. Just put that out there. Anyways, Jessie Zaboter is awesome. You'll love her. Once you start listening to her, you'll understand that she's very credible. She's very smart, very intelligent. So she's been dropping a lot of things, and she's dropped a lot of names. She's named a ton of names. Obama, all of them. Hillary, she grew up with her. So you can just check her out if you want to. She's on Right On Radio, or you can just look at her playlist on Aquarius Rising Africa. But she basically has always talked about this boy named E. And I always expected that it was Elon, because I think she mentioned that they lived in another country, and I think he's from Canada. So I always suspected that it was Elon. And they confirmed it on their latest video. So she is coming out. She's a whistleblower, and she completely came out. She's telling stories about when they were children. So it was her and her training partner and Elon. So usually it was just her and her training partner, and her training partner was a boy, and he was her protector. Everyone that has her position has a protector. So they would participate in these experiments, and they would work with generals from the military. This would be held at military bases, and it was like every day growing up. She was like bored in these places. She didn't want to be there, but she had to play their little games and do their little tricks. And they have literally kids with spiritual gifts at military bases conducting experiments with children like Elon Musk when he was a kid. So the Elon is going to come back at the end, but let's just hear a little bit of the background.
So pretty close for that group. But then we would get ornery, I mean, we'd be stuck through all this stuff all day long, and we'd get tired. We'd want to play. And so, we found in our minds.
Why does it go off?
It was like, since we could just talk to each other in our minds and they didn't know what we were saying, we'd be like, hey, E, I'll let you know this is a mental conversation, not an out loud one, but this is kind of how we would be.
So you could also have ESP communication with E?
Yeah. And with the general who was connected with us. So we would usually start the instigation and we'd be like, E, turn around, look like or our favorite one was, tie your shoe. His shoelaces were always coming undone, and I swear I had nothing to do with that. But shoelaces were always coming undone, and I swear I had nothing to do with that. But like, hey,
I wouldn't be surprised if you did. I have to tell you.
Watch this
right,
closely.
So he'd turn around and start tying his shoe, right? And then we would be, in the back, like we would be doing something. It was like, okay, like if we know that we could, we'll say, accelerate things. So we would be adjusting the accelerator, but then
we know that we can, let's say, accelerate things, and we know we can adjust this accelerator.
And then we would be, in the back. Shoelaces were always coming undone, and so monitoring, we're like dealing with the.
Okay, so she just said that they could accelerate things.
Monitoring, we're like dealing with this problem, monitoring, we're like dealing with this.
Make sure I didn't skip one.
Shoelaces were always coming in. We know that we can tie in his shoe, right? And then we would be, in the back, like we would be doing something. It was like, okay, like if we know that we could, we'll say, accelerate things. So we would be adjusting the accelerator, but then we just had to remember to readjust it when we came back, so that it looked like.
Adjusting the accelerator. What are they accelerating?
Like it was documented at the time increment that they wanted it documented at. But then usually we'd have to cause other distractions. So, it usually does.
So she's talking about accelerating things, and then it needed to be at the time that it was supposed to be. So she's talking about accelerating time. They were able to bend time, make it go faster, and then make it go back and work out, and then go on so they could go and eat their pudding cups. This is what she's saying. She's very clever the way she discloses. You have to read between the lines. But she's saying let's call it accelerate things. They're literally talking about they were able to manipulate time, bend time.
Monitoring, we're like dealing with this problem, like coffee being spilt all over their equipment.
Create a distraction.
And, then they weren't keeping track of time, and so as long as everything looked good in the end, they didn't even realize that we had messed with the experiment and, made it go faster so we could get outside and sit, outside faster. So, yeah. So that was some of the stuff we would do, and then we loved putting stuff in people's pockets.
So they made the time go faster.
Was so fun, And like I said, E would be aware. He was just kind of like him, and if the Rothschild boys were with us, they were extras in our execution of our plans. But like we would do stuff on the bases, like we would like find these random odd objects that would make people be like, wait, what is this, right? And it would cause almost this international incident at the base, because they would be like, what is this? How did it get here? Like they'd be worried that there was a breach or something, okay? And so we would do stuff like that, and they would have to stop everything and have to figure out, has the base been breached or not? But then they forgot that, like, I had the all access codes. So sometimes, like when I was really ornery, I would just speak, quietly, usually off to the side. Like I'd have the boys like around me, I'd turn around and I would be like whispering until the system picked up my and heard me and auto activated all the doors. And it would but it wouldn't just be like the outside doors all of a sudden that would open. It would be like all the doors in the building. So then they would we'd wait until we knew like a vehicle was like passing by or something, that wasn't supposed to be there. And so then we would all of a sudden open all the doors. Then they were worried that there was going to be a breach. So everything would get stopped and put on hold. We'd be told to go to one of the safety rooms, and we could just go hang out until they figured it out. And usually they gave us pudding cups or other things to sit there and bide our time. So just so you all know, E and my training partner, they love those pudding cups, I'm telling you. I think E preferred the Jell-O cups, but
so yeah, she's being really sly, but that is her disclosing that she was there with him as a child.
Yeah. Well, they were figuring out what was going on. Yeah.
Okay.
I think what I really,
Can I not? How do I pause this thing? Why is this?
He's such
Okay, so right there, she transitions, and they're talking about them being there. I didn't clip this. I didn't cut anything out. They're talking about them being there at these military bases as a child, and then Chantal says,
a prominent figure in the world right now.
Yeah.
I think what I really,
here she goes.
he's such a prominent figure in the world right now, and I think he's got a really cool way about him. And I've got to tell you guys, I like him, man. Sure, I really do. And I tell you, there's such a big at the moment hoo-ha as to which team does he play for, just for want of a better expression right now.
Yeah, that's the huge question. Which team do they play for? And it's still up in the air. You've got kids that were highly trained in evil, with an enemy that has a definite end time evil agenda that, every single person was trained to fulfill, things so that it went towards that agenda. Yet, be there. Nobody wanted to do the job that they were given to do. And I can say that 100%, that even from the last time I was with these guys, there was not a single one of them that wanted to fulfill that end time agenda. But we all knew, like, if we didn't, if we, fought it there were major consequences. And,
Absolutely.
you know, were there people on our teams that we lost because of those consequences? There were. You know, there were other boys or girls that they connected to us. You know, three of those girls have been suicided.
So there you go. I mean, she's telling you they just transitioned to talk about Elon. They didn't say his name, but they just went straight into that.
He'd look at you, and I mean, that's you know, probably the biggest hurt is.
And then she does also mention that his mom was the queen, and they would come and give the Queen Mother of Darkness a bottle of perfume every 5 years, and that the name on the perfume was Musk. So she does say that. And then later they bring up the neuro links and say, yeah, I mean, now he's like putting chips in people's about. Of course, they're talking about Elon Musk. Now, the name of the video, it's not. It says, connecting with Jessie Zaboter, boys in her cell, focus on E. So she's telling you
Nobody wanted to do the job that they were given to do.
what happened, and she's telling you that no one wants to be in the system.
He'd look at you, and I mean, that's you know, probably the biggest hurt is knowing, like, you carried each other's pain, the pain of the abuses, and you know, you witness those abuses sometimes. So, you know, that was a hard thing as a kid to carry for one another. And I'll say, you know, one of the roughest things, that probably was what I struggled with the most in giving my testimonies, is that, you know, I have not just named, you know, who the abusers were or their crimes. Like, I've put all the pieces together. I've told the whole story. And so that means the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it's like, you know, all those things I've held inside that were the hurts or the abuses for others, and then having to share that. And, you know, when they haven't chosen to share those things yet themselves.
So she's just a beautiful person. She's a beautiful human. And I think these are her last words.
And so that's
Oops.
come to that place where they acknowledge, yeah, that was me. And, you know, and so that's a hard place to be. It's like, are they going to come to that place where they acknowledge, yeah, that was me. And yes, those things happened to me. And yes, I want to join in bringing justice, you know, so that it doesn't happen to any more children after me. And, you know, I've had to kind of be the forerunner in that and put everything out there, not knowing if they're going to step alongside of me or not. You know, they have that right. They have that right to keep the horrific things that have happened to them forever silent. That's their right if they choose. But, you know, my encouragement will always be, you know, we were given a voice to sing a song, and we need to share that song with the world. And through that comes healing. And if we want that healing, there's only one way to get it. We have to not be afraid to sing the song we were given.
I couldn't think of more profound words to end today's
brought tears to my eyes. It's just such a profound way to put it. And her standing in her truth and her ugly, horrible, very saddening, sick things that she had to go through as a little child and process through that by herself. The fact that she can still see beauty, the fact that she's just so loving, she's just so happy, she's so playful, and she's so funny. It's like it's almost a real compliment to the human spirit. I mean, she's literally she's very strong. She's very brave. And she is one of a kind, you know. I think I've looked up to her for a long time, just being willing to share her story. And it's cost her a lot. It cost her 17-year-old son a few months ago. And she's still being brave and singing her story. So that's what she did. She exposed Elon Musk without saying it. They exposed Elon. And she said, you heard her say, you know, one of the hardest parts is we carry each other's traumas. Like, she knows a lot of the abuses that they experience, that he experienced and that other experienced, because they experienced a lot of these abuses together. So she hopes he'll come out and say, yeah, this was me. And yeah, they did that. And I don't want other children to go through this. But it's up to him. You know, it's his right. If he chooses to keep these horrible experiences to himself and not share it, is his right to choose. So that's out there. And I'm hoping that a good Elon Musk took over because it seemed like Elon Musk was on the bad side, but then it seems like he's on the good side, but then he pretends like no one's traveled in outer space when they have, and it's really hard to know. Like they said, he flip-flops back and forth. Is he a white hat? Is he a black hat? Is he a white hat? Is he a black hat? Well, I don't think they'd be bringing this out if they weren't with the white hat team exposing that he is a white hat. So, you know, a lot of these people that used to be black hats turned into white hats, or a lot of the times the black hats were dealt with and they put another person in their place, like Putin. They took the evil one out and that's the good one there. That's just how it works. You know, once we start learning the truth, we're going to see this. So watch the whole episode. It's on Aquarius Rising Africa. You'll find it. I'm not going to leave any links, but watch the whole episode. And I'm sorry I ruined the surprise for you. But this is really big. And even though they're playing it off like they're just telling childhood stories and then just slyly transitioning and saying, but you know, he's a big celebrity, you know, that was the transition. So they were talking about Elon Musk, and they were talking about was Elon Musk as a child. So yeah, he grew up in that system. All of them did. All these people, all these public figures did. Or their parents sold them in. Probably like Britney Spears' parents sold her into it. So let me know what you think, and definitely watch the whole episode. And I'm super excited to share this because this was really big news, even though no one even knows it. No one's put them on blast, but here I am putting them on blast because Elon Musk just got outed. Share this video. Thanks, friends.